Allô, Nissan? Hey, grosse tempête, hein?
Hey, Karine, oui, je sais, les vilains bonhommes de neige sont de retour.
Mais avec le Nissan Rogue à traction intégrale, c'est pas stressant.
Exact, il est conçu et testé pour nos hivers. Oh, Karine, il y a un bonhomme dans le Rogue.
Ah, c'est correct. J'ai allumé les sièges chauffants.
Ah, bien joué, Karine. Maîtrisez toutes les conditions. Louez le Rogue S 2026 à partir de 0,4% jusqu'à 36 mois, incluant une réduction fidélité de 0,5% pour les clients Nissan admissibles. Jusqu'au 2 mars, sur approbation de crédit, les conditions s'appliquent. Détails chez Nissan.
Welcome to the second hour of the Elias Makos Show. And now let's meet someone who wants to be your prime minister because he's running for the leadership of the Liberal Party of Canada. Frank Bayliss joins us now in studio. Hi, Frank. How are you?
Very good, Elias.
Can I call you Frank? I just went to Frank right away. I can go with Mr. Bayliss. It's fine.
No, please. Don't make me feel older than I am. Come on.
Wonderful. Okay, so listen, Frank. I think a lot of our listeners know you. You know, and I'll be honest, there are a couple of times where we were talking about the main contenders, Carney and Freeland, and I'm getting text messages. Like, you should be talking more about Frank Bayliss. And I said, okay, I get it, but I'm also like trying to read the writing on the wall, right? So make me the case here for our listeners. Okay, now we're down to 6. There was 7. Chandra Arya has been told you're not going to be able to run. So now we're down to 6 candidates. Tell our listeners, tell me, the pathway that you see where you are truly a legitimate contender and that you can pull this off.
Well, so first of all, a background on who I am. Yeah. I'm a professional engineer by training. So I went to University of Waterloo. I'm a professional engineer, and I am an entrepreneur, business person. I've been traveling the country. I just came back, for example, from Alberta, and they love the idea of a business person.
I bet they do.
They love it.
Yeah.
They're like, what? You're not a professional politician. You're not a bureaucrat. You're someone that's lived in the real world. Yeah. So my pathway to victory is having these conversations like I'm having with you, Elias, where people say, you know what? I hear this guy. I hear what he's bringing to the table. And if you look at the leading contenders right now, it's all Ottawa bubble. Who lives in Ottawa, who talks to the Ottawa media, who is known in Ottawa, and whose reputation is built because they were in Ottawa. And then they say, well, Frank, really, who are you? You're not from Ottawa. Yeah. You don't live in Ottawa, all those things. So no, I'd like to say I live in the real world, and I feel the challenges that average Canadians are having, and I'm up to tackling those challenges.
Do you have enough time? Because all that sounds great, but then I look at the time limitations on this race, and it's tough to reach out to, what are we now, 343 ridings, 338 to 340. Yeah. Do you have the time? Or has the deck been stacked against you and some of the other competitors here?
Yeah, I take a positive attitude. I don't think anybody's doing anything to stack the deck. We are in a crunch time. So you're absolutely right. There's very little time, about 6 weeks, and I need to get out there and get my message across. I believe that people will rally to me when they start to hear what I've done, what I've accomplished in my life, and what I want to do for Canadians. And so that's the challenge. I won't hide from it, but yeah.
So you were in the House of Commons, 2015, elected with that first Trudeau government, Pierre Fondallard. You leave after 4 years. Why did you leave?
So I tried to reform the place. I put together something called Bill 231. I worked with 2 Liberals, 2 Conservatives, 2 NDP, and Miss May. So I'm not a highly partisan person. I'm a person, I want things done.
Yeah.
I want to get things done. And what I was saying is, look, we've got to be more efficient. We've got to get to work here. People are paying our salaries to get to work, to make our laws, get our country running. And so I proposed these things, and I could see pretty fast that, you know what, the powers that be don't want to change things. And quite frankly, it was wasting my time, but more importantly, it was wasting your money.
Okay.
I'm going to have this conversation, Elias. I'm going to tell people what's going on, and I'm going to tell people, if you want someone to go back and fix it truly, I'm your guy. If you want same old, yeah, that's fine. That's out there. But if you say, look, Frank, we got to get this place going, and these things are unacceptable, I'm telling people that straight up.
So let me try and read between the lines. You start off with talking about how you're a businessman. You talk there about efficiency. It certainly seems to me that you maybe want to move the Liberal Party of Canada in a different direction ideologically. Do you believe that the Liberal Party is ideologically, and I'm talking about right to left, do you believe the Liberals are where they need to be for Canadians?
Yeah, so what I tell people a lot is I'm not a historian, and I'm not interested in looking backwards. What I'm proposing, I'm here today, Canadians want solutions going forward. And there's people that love politics. Let's debate if we went left, we went right, and all that. I'm not part of that discussion. I haven't been there for 6 years. I am someone that's coming with solutions. I'm going to put our fiscal house in order because that's going to affect our affordability crisis. I'm that guy. I'm going to
Okay,
set
so
targets
listen,
in that.
we don't have to go, oh, I'm left, I'm right, I'm
Yeah.
this. You don't have to get into a tag. I get you.
Yeah.
But you do have to say, what will you do about the onslaught of federal government programs that have been enacted during your first term? And then since you left, they've gone over the top, right?
Yes.
So by answering that question, you're going to tell me where you lie. I mean, you may not want to say I'm
fair,
right?
fair enough. No, fair enough. And I'm not trying to avoid the question. What I'm trying to say is I really want to bring solutions. I really want to talk about what we've got to do for today and tomorrow. And what I'm going to do if in all kinds of areas, like for example, I was trying to get our regulations under control. Yeah. We need regulations, but we need intelligent regulations, not overburdening our businesses. Yeah. Getting the thing done, but not, how do I say, making rules for rules only. And why does this happen? Because there's very few people like me that are professionally engineered, designed to fix things, people that come with solutions. I know business, I know what we need, and let's get our economy going. Let's not make another document that we're going to force a company to fill in this form and fill in this form. And everybody says, it's just one more form. It's just one more form. I'm going, hey, hang on a second. So that's what I'm going to try and bring. I think people would say I'm more centrist if I could, if you want to label me.
You went there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got me. But I would be a centrist person. I'm really interested in pragmatic solutions and not labels.
Okay, but if you say you're more of a centrist person, does that mean that you believe the current Liberal Party has gone too far to the left?
I believe we haven't focused on the economy sufficiently. I believe we haven't focused on wealth creation. You need wealth creation and wealth distribution, and I think clearly we've tried to distribute they've tried to distribute it, but they haven't been creating it. We need to create it.
What else what do you think the focus has been over the last little while? What has the government been focused on where you feel their eye has been off the ball?
I just feel that what I want to bring to the table is let's get our economy going. Let's get our dollar up. I hear this a lot. So people, I'll give you an example. Let me give you an example. So the grocery prices have really gone up. People are hurting. And so what is the politician, political class, both on the left and right, they bring in the grocery store owners and they start lambasting them, yelling at them, telling them off, they're profiteering and that. But I'm going to tell people the straight goods. Look, you want to buy an orange, we don't grow them in Canada. So they're grown in Florida. The grocer has to go down there, buy it in US dollars, brings it up here, has to convert to Canadian dollars and sell it to you. And every time our dollar goes down, the price of that orange goes up. And so you can talk and yell and scream up to the grocery store person saying you're a bad person. They're not. They're business, and they are stuck with this low exchange rate. We drop below 70 cents. We've got to get our dollar back up. How do we do that? We have to get our fiscal house in order. It's that simple. Okay. I'm going to do that. That's going to be real affordability.
So, and this is a question that the Conservatives get a lot. What will you cut? I mean, to get the fiscal house in order, you need to cut certain things. And I think this is the question that I'm trying to find anyone who's running for the Liberal leadership that wants to have an open conversation about how, because to get the fiscal house in order, there has to be cuts somewhere. Okay. So where do you go cutting?
Okay, so I'm a wealth creation person. Yeah. So people say we got to cut, or we got to cut spending, or we got to cut programs. That what we need to do is get our productivity up. We need to be making more money, and making more money means more productive. That's what I've done. I've been very, very successful in business, being more productive. So there's a third way. And how do I get more productive? I've got to get the federal government. Before I go and yell at companies, get more productive, first let's get the federal government more productive. That's what I've been trying to do, and I'm going to do that across the board. I'm going to modernize the whole way we do things in the federal government. That's one. The other thing I'm going to tackle, and don't laugh at me here, I'm going to say that we are going to have in Canada the best healthcare system in the world. I want to repeat that.
Certainly not laughing at that.
No,
tell me more. I want more.
But I'm going to talk about that for health reasons. Yeah. But you're asking about cutting. Guess what? We had a couple of years ago, the federal government said we're putting in $40 billion more in healthcare. No one said, oh, great. Yeah. Thank God we solved it. No. Yeah. I've been in healthcare 35 years. I know how we have to change this paradigm, how we have to get ourselves organized. Now, guess what? The biggest spend for every province, healthcare, it's growing. It's 50%. They're looking for solutions. The federal government transfers tremendous amounts of money. So if we get our healthcare in order, and it's not more money, we can do more with less, actually. We just got to get a new paradigm. That's something I understand and I've been working with. So that's going to be actually affect. You're asking where you're cutting. I'm not going to cut. I'm going to spend less and get way more for you.
Okay, but so it leads me to a question here, because what the federal government has said often on various issues is there's never been a government that has spent more money, like housing. And it's true. There has never been a federal government who has made more government programs and spent more government money on housing, yet look at where we are. Why do you think it doesn't work? Why does it not work just throwing money at the problem?
You just said it. Throwing money at the problem is not the answer. I'll give you an example. We're talking healthcare, which is the biggest spend. So healthcare was designed in the 60s when we had acute problems. What that meant is if you got bad luck, you're hit by a car, guess what? We pick you up, race you to the hospital, you're fine. Today, we have a chronic care need where people have long-term diseases like they might have cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and we can keep you alive, but we're still using the old method. And now we need a screwdriver, but we're still using a hammer. So you know what they say? Get a bigger hammer. And they say, let's throw some more. Just really whack that screw. And I'm going to say, no, just stop. Yeah. Let's just take the big hammer. We don't have to spend a lot of money. Let's use a screw and to put in a screwdriver to put in the screw. And it's doable. It's really doable.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Elias Makos Show. Hey, today's a big day, by the way, because it is January 27th, and today is the last day to become a member of the Liberal Party of Canada, and that way you can vote in this upcoming leadership race. So get to your keyboards if you want to have a say in who will become the next Prime Minister of Canada, because whoever wins that race will be a Prime Minister for however a short period, but a Prime Minister nonetheless. Frank Bayliss is with us. He's one of those candidates. We're now down to 6 candidates in the race for the federal Liberal leadership. Frank, I want to start here by talking about Mark Carney, okay?
Sure.
Because it certainly seems like most cabinet ministers, he's got the majority of cabinet ministers that have shown up and said, we're endorsing him. He has a lot of support. There's a lot of back and forth. If this guy is an outsider, he says, I'm an outsider, right? John Stewart, I'm an outsider. Is he? What do you think?
Well, I think that, first of all, people have said that the Liberal Party is in really big trouble and all that. But I look at the class of all the people running. Yeah. And whether you agree with Mark Carney or Chrystia Freeland or even Karina Gould, who I know well, and these are strong candidates. I consider myself a strong candidate too. I'm not bragging, but I consider myself a strong candidate. So I say the party's in great shape, and I'm happy that Mr. Carney's there as one of the people running. I think it adds to our credibility, and I think he's had success in. He's what they call an economist, and he works in monetary policy, so he sets interest rates, and he's been successful at that.
So. Like, I'm trying to see, why wouldn't I vote for the guy now? You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying, why not? Why, he's got the cachet, he's got the name recognition. Yeah. So then why not just, based on what you just said, let's go with Carney. He'll be the best guy against Poilievre. I mean, I'm wondering that.
Yeah, I actually think that when it comes to standing up to Mr. Trump, first of all, I don't think there's any competition between me and the other contestants, and I'm not knocking them. I'm not that person. I'll just tell you who I am. Yeah. Look, I can't tell you how many contracts I've negotiated with Americans over my 35 plus years. I'm used to dealing with Americans, used to dealing with contract negotiations. Most of the time, these people are polite with that. I've run into people like Trump. I'm that guy. I'm the guy that's going to protect Canada. I'm the guy that understands what we're up against. I'm the guy that's lived creating real jobs. I've got nothing against Mr. Carney or Freeland or anything. They can run, and I'll let them. In French, ils vont démontrer leur bilan. They'll show what they've done. I'll show my resume. Yeah. But what I bring to the table is I've created thousands of good-paying jobs, high-tech jobs. People say, Frank, you're not known. Yeah, I'm not known in Ottawa. But if you go to any incubator, any business accelerator, if you talk to any young entrepreneur, my name is known there because I've been in that world. Okay, so but what do you do? I mean, I'm looking at yesterday where he, very in short order, minutes, he strong arms Colombia to do exactly what he wanted them to do. I hear about this phone call with the Prime Minister of Denmark where, the result is he's very serious. He wants Greenland. He's not going to take no for an answer. But how would you deal with it? I mean, you say you could deal with him. I'm trying to, how do you change Canadian policy to deal with that? So first of all, when you go into these type of negotiations and you've got one of these characters that I call this burn the house down and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. First of all, okay, splay off all you want. And once you're done talking, we're getting back down to brass tacks. Mr. Trump has a big problem. Yeah. We keep thinking about ourselves. When you go into negotiations, what's his problem? Yeah. What is his need? I'll tell you what his need is. He got elected on one thing, one thing only got him elected: illegal immigration. He promised to solve it.
Yeah.
Okay, but now he has a problem because he was supposed to build a wall last time. Where's the wall? Did I stop him? Did you stop him? No one stopped him from building a wall. So what does he do? He sends out a tweet where he says there's a problem with Mexico and Canada.
Yeah.
He puts the two together. Why would he do that? I'll tell you why he'd do that. He needs a problem that he can solve. And every one of us in Canada said, what? There's a problem with illegal immigrants from Canada going to the United States?
And don't forget the drugs. The drugs was a big part of that.
The drugs is a wonderful... We'll talk about the drugs. Yeah. So why does he do this? Because he wants to create a huge problem that then in a few months he can say, I solved an immigration problem. Yeah. Because you know what the problem he has is there is no problem. The Americans aren't mad about Canadian border. The Canadians aren't mad about the border. We can always make it better, and I'm happy to work on that. But we don't have a real problem. So he's creating one.
You don't think there's a problem? You're going to go to Donald Trump and you say there's not actually a problem?
No, what I'm going to do is play along with his game.
Yeah.
Because he's just playing a game.
Yeah.
And all he's doing is talking to his audience, the Americans that elected him, that said, please fix the border. Yeah. And when they're talking about fixing the border, they were not talking about the Canadian border. Yeah. I know this. I understand his game. Yeah. So I can now use this to our advantage. That's what he's up to. When you see that, and I understand his need, he has midterm elections that come up on him pretty quickly. He can't go to them and say, look, I've done nothing about the southern border. So how many Americans do you think really care about them taking over Greenland? Is that in the top 20 issues? Yeah. These are all diversionary tactics. So once you understand what his game is up to, I can hold the line there.
Because there's another line of thinking that it's not diversionary. He's viewing the world, and you can have multiple superpowers, China and Russia, and the United States a part of it. But he's like, no, I just want there to be one superpower. There could actually be a very legitimate reason for the things he's doing.
So, Elias, I went on record, and I've got an article prompted of how I would deal with Trump. Okay, so and I said right away, don't worry about this 25% on everything. Yeah. He would impact our economy tremendously. Yes. He would impact the Mexican economy tremendously.
Yes.
He would also, and this is really important to understand, $1 trillion goes in from Canada and Mexico. Yeah. He would be crushing the American economy. So he's not going to do it. He's going to say, I'm going to burn the house down. I'm going to demand this. I'm going to demand that. No way.
What do you do in the scenario where he decides to increase the United States' own production of energy, right? Because obviously they get a lot of exports from us. It's true. What if he just increases production on their end, drill, baby, drill, whatever you want to call it, and then slashes taxes on Americans? How do we respond to that scenario?
He's spending money, like he has budgetary constraints just like everybody else. The reason we have not been hurt as badly, even though our dollar's going down, is because the Americans are overspending too. I know this. I know his constraints. So what happens with Donald Trump is this. When you talk, like I'll give you an example, to fentanyl. They have a fentanyl problem. Yeah. I'm not a criminal, but imagine you're a criminal. Fentanyl you manufacture. You just get a little warehouse and you manufacture it. Now, why would I manufacture in Canada and take the extra risk of bringing it across the border?
People are doing it.
No, hang on. Yeah. They manufacture in Canada for the Canadian market, and the Americans manufacture in the United States for the American market. Yeah. Why? Because why would a criminal say, I'm going to add an extra risk to my business by moving it across the border? So what was the grand total of fentanyl that went into the States? I think it was 43 or 44 kilograms in a year.
The numbers aren't important. Really.
Like but it's not even an issue because he doesn't want to say we have to deal with a drug problem. He just wants to blame it on someone else.
Can I ask, because I'm running out of time, but I do want to get your thoughts on some platform things.
Sure.
And I'd love to know your thoughts on what your platform would have to say about crime in the country and changes that have happened over 9 years of the Liberal government, where there has been a relaxing, a loosening, bail and jail, and there's lots of talk about how to handle that. Where would you lead the party?
Well, first of all, like we're talking about that border, I want a stronger border because we have a problem with illegal guns coming into Canada. So absolutely, I want to talk to Trump about the border, and I want to clamp down on those things. I want to stop those guns coming in. I want us to have proper way, and we get crime because of poverty. Okay, that's a real link. And we talked about housing. We haven't invested in housing, social housing. So when you don't invest in social housing, you get the street people, you get the crime. So this all has to be addressed, and it's all interlinked. Yeah. So
but what about the thing where I keep reading about the person that was just arrested for a heinous crime, whether it's property or violent, and they've been arrested many times before. They were out on bail. What do you do about that?
So I've looked a lot at the crime rate, where it comes from, and the issues there, and I've talked to criminals, and they'll tell you this: 75% of people that are in jail should not be there. 25% should be locked up forever. So there is an issue about who we let out and who we let in. But broad statements are not going to solve the problem. And just saying, well, we just got to hammer a few of these bad people, they make a great sensational headline. But if we really want to deal with crime, let's get social housing. Let's get people back to work. Let's take that pressure off. That's going to have the real impact.
Isn't that the current Liberal policy, right? Just to continue down.
Not at all.
Okay.
What's the difference? My policy is wealth creation. You need a good job. You don't want a handout. People will say, "Help me get a good job, Frank."
Gotcha.
That's what will help me get me on my feet that way. I'm not coming with, here's another $5. That's not working.
So increase Canada's GDP per capita in particular, productivity, and then it solves those problems.
And nothing. There's no panacea for everything.
Okay.
But if we want to get back to where we're going and we want to make Canada stronger, we need a stronger economy. We need stronger productivity. I've written about this in the Financial Post. I've written about these articles and that. That's how we make Canada strong.
Frank, we have to leave it there, running up against the clock here. Good luck.
Well, thank you.
You're one of 6. I like those odds, by the way. 1 of 6 is not bad. And of course, you have until the end of today, right, to become a member of the Liberal Party, Canadian Liberal Party, to vote in that leadership race. Frank Bayliss, an official candidate in the race. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me, Elias.